Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 5 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jerry Flanagan, the founder of JDog Junk Removal. And JDog Junk Removal is a full-service junk removal company that removes almost anything. They offer junk removal services for the home, business, including offices, retail locations, storage units, churches, apartments, warehouses, and more. And that's coming right up on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. Get 3 months of free advertising when you sign up for our 1-year package. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where for over 5 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jerry Flanagan, who is the founder of JDog Junk Removal. And JDog Junk Removal is a full-service junk removal company that removes almost anything. They offer junk removal services for the home, business, including offices, retail locations, storage units, churches, apartments, warehouses, and more. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, Jerry. You know, I read about you guys a while ago, and so I've been wanting to have you on the show, so it's a privilege to finally have the chance to get to speak to you. We always like to ask our guests where you're calling from this morning.
I'm from Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Okay, great.
Which is a suburb right outside of Philadelphia.
Good, good. You know, it's funny, Jerry. In the last, we've been doing the show almost 6 years now, and it's interesting. In the last 6 months, we've had more franchisers from Pennsylvania. So we're getting ready to declare Pennsylvania the franchise capital of the United States. So that's fantastic. You know, it's we're just so you know, we're in Easton, Pennsylvania. So we're directly north of you guys. We're about 50 miles north of Philadelphia. I don't know if you've ever been up towards the Easton area.
Yeah, I've been up to Allentown, that area. Sure.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah, so absolutely. That's fantastic. You have an interesting background. I thought we can, dive right into, what you were doing before starting JDog Junk Removal.
Sure. Well, I got out of the military in 1989. I was in the U.S. Army, and spent about 3 years trying to apply the GI Bill to the right school and working, trying to go to school. And I landed in a company, a seasonal retail company, in 1992, and I latched onto that company and developed multiple skills, marketing, sales, operations, and did really well. Grew right through that company and realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So it takes me all the way up to 2007, and I went out on my own, started my own retail seasonal concept, and franchised.
Right.
Launched it right off, sold 4 franchises right off the bat, and the 2008 hit. Very difficult to grow a franchise company during those times. So
absolutely.
In the back of my mind, I said, what's going to be the next leap for me? So I went ahead and did some research and realized that the junk removal business is something that actually did well during the recession.
Yes. So
I figured let me create a concept that would work in a marketplace, nationally, and I could grow. While that was going on, I realized that there are so many veterans and so many active duty members that are they're looking for work, coming back from the service, and the light bulb went off in my head, and I said, let me put this into a certain category and create a concept for military veterans, active duty members only, and see if we can branch this business out, through the model I created.
Yeah.
So that took me up to here. So for about 17 months now, I've been building this model, and we just started franchising it a few months ago in May.
I think it's fantastic, and you've gotten some great PR on it as well. We were very familiar with your company. When we heard what you were doing, it was kind of disturbing. With the unemployment rates. When I was studying it, Jerry. You see how high it is for some of the military compared to like the national average. So I thought that was fantastic. That you created this type of program. Have you always known, like at an early age? There's studies out there. There's kind of like a link between like the military and entrepreneurship. I was curious. Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or?
I have. Yeah, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just really didn't have like the tool set to really apply it in any direction. I think it just kind of evolved. But yeah, as a military person, I think you tend to have a little more, maybe I want to say courage or guts.
Right.
You want to take the chances a little bit more. I think
the ability to
sign on.
Risk. Absolutely.
Yeah, you take risk. You sign on, and when you join the military, you don't know what's in front of you. So yeah, I definitely think there's a correlation there.
That's amazing. Yeah, there was an interesting statistic. I think it was by the SBA. It says that, it indicates veterans in the private sector are at least 45% more likely than individuals with no active military experience to be self-employed. And I remember when I saw that, and I said, wow. And you would know this too, Jerry, because, with the military, of course you can retire a little earlier than, I guess you could say common folks, who will retire like around 65 or 70 years old. I think the average retirement when you have a career in the military, I think it's somewhere like about 45 to 50 years old, which is still relatively young, if you think about it.
Exactly, and you spend your whole career following a system, which takes it right into franchising. If anything, the people that were in the military are the perfect candidate for franchises. Follow a system, follow instructions, things that are proven to work. That's what the military is all about. Trial and error is already done. To me, I think that the franchising concept and being exclusive, available for military veterans only, I think is going to be a very, very positive direction for us, the way we decide to go.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Could you talk a little bit about the franchise or the franchise system, Jerry? Maybe the services that you guys have. Like if you guys were at like a trade show or a franchise show, and someone came up to your booth and they said, "So what do you guys do?" Where do you typically go from there?
Well, basically, we service our residential customers. We service commercial real estate also, businesses. Everybody downsizes. Everybody has extra junk, and someone needs to move it away. It's hard to get rid of a lot of items, and you need to know the facilities too. We do everything recycled. If it cannot be recycled and it absolutely has to go to a transfer station, we do that. We don't go directly to the landfill. We decide to go to a transfer station. So that way, if there's anything left for that item to be used for, it could be used for. We do take items to Goodwill, local charities. We do go to the recycle facilities. There's just so many different ways to get rid of junk people don't realize, and we try to do it all the right way because people do ask that. They do ask, hey, where's this going? Where are the electronics going? Where's this? Can someone use this couch? Can someone use this, dresser? And, we take the time to drive this stuff everywhere it has to go. So it's very important.
Absolutely. It seems like this, I guess you can call this industry that you guys are in too, Jerry. I think you did, of course, pick the right industry. It seems as though it's growing every single year. I don't know. I mean, it seems to be becoming more popular anyway. I mean, people are talking about it a lot more, junk removal services, and you see trucks today and things like that, So is it a growing industry?
I definitely think it's a growing industry, and simply from the standpoint that televisions. We used to have televisions. We'd have them for 20, 30 years. You never threw a television out.
That's
Today,
true.
Every Super Bowl we're going out and we're buying a new TV. So
That's
as
funny.
the industry changes, as the appliances get better, people want more than they used to. They don't hold on to anything, and they're constantly moving. People are moving all the time. And a lot of people want to change the items they have. So they tend to get rid of things a lot more now, I think, than they did 10 years ago.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Is there any technology involved, I guess, in this franchise, Jerry?
Well, in my franchise, basically, I keep it as simple as possible. I've built a model that can be run very, very independently with support from us. We do recommend to follow like a QuickBooks system, which we support that. We have our own people to handle that. We have the website already prepared. We already have all the domain names purchased and owned. As soon as you open up in a market, you instantly are going to be getting web hits right away with leads coming in. We own the 1-800 number already. And I have the manual, that I've created. After all my years of experience, I've built the model. So I can basically put someone into business within 90 days. Up and running, they go out, they purchase an H2 Hummer. We also have a secondary vehicle, which is a Wrangler Jeep, a large Jeep they can buy. And we wrap it with our logos. And you're driving around the neighborhood with an H2 green Hummer that has veteran-owned and operated, all plastered all over it, JDog Junk Removal, and the phones are ringing off the hook. It's a driving billboard, and I pull a trailer. I pull a large trailer behind me, and that's wrapped. So everywhere you go, everywhere I park, we're marketing ourselves. And it's funny, the first thing that people say to me is they say, thank you for your service. Wow. And with that, there's very little negotiations with the price on what we're doing. They tend to not have a problem with the prices we're charging.
That's fantastic. Who gets credit for the name? Is that you? It's a very clever name,
That's
by
me.
the way.
It is. I'm JDog. It's my nickname, clever, and I went ahead and
it's a great name for a franchise. Yeah, it has a nice ring to it. It's
simple. It's simple. It's JDog Junk Removal. It's got a ring to it. People see me in the supermarkets locally that I've done work for, and they go, hey, there's JDog,
Yeah.
So what I like primarily about the business model itself, it kind of brings you back to the old school, like the old hardware store or the old barber shop in the area. When you're a junk removal person in your community, first of all, they're going to recognize you because of your veteran status. Once they've seen you and they met you and they see the green Hummer, they call you back. They're going to. You have a junk removal guy in the neighborhood. He's a veteran. He's a local hero, so to speak. That you have an instant credibility in your own little market. That's why I feel these going up. All around the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you mentioned the whole simplicity of the franchise too, Jerry. I think that I've always said I've been studying franchising for 10 years, and I think that always makes for the better franchises is the simplicity of the whole system. I think when it starts getting a little more complicated, that's when it gets a little crazy to try to like duplicate it,
Absolutely.
Location to location. So I think it's very clever. So I kind of know what types of characteristics I suspect you're looking for in your franchisees. I guess, of course, having that military background helps. Is there anything else that you look for, I guess, or will be looking for in your franchisees, Jerry?
Yeah, definitely a strong work ethic, someone that believes in what they're doing every day, positive attitude, customer service. You want to be able to shake everybody's hand. They want to welcome you into their home. You're walking into their home, you're removing items, you're going to be called back several times. So you want to have a good personality, strong personality. You want to be confident, in what you're doing every day, and you want to be able to get up in the morning, and get moving. Basically.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. What's the training like once someone decides that they want to become a franchisee?
Yeah, what we do is we bring them into our facility. We spend a full day going through all the basic operations. We have a whole training seminar plan put together, and then we also are going to go out to their site and get in the truck with them. I'm going to be in the truck with them personally, showing them how to do it, shaking the hands of the customers, and we're going to do a lot of that one-on-one training.
Yeah, which is important, and that's, it's the advantage, I think, too, of, I'm not saying going with a smaller franchise system, but, there's a funny joke that, if like when you become a franchisee, not to pick on like Subway, which is, very successful, like 37,000 units, but I think you're sometimes classified as like franchisee number 10,907 or something like that. And you say, who the heck wants to be known as that? I think there's an advantage, right, to be able to talk to someone like yourself, to be able to, say, I want to speak to the CEO or the president of the company. It doesn't always happen, so I think that this is a great opportunity for someone looking to, get in on a great franchise system. What would a typical day be like then, for someone, once they become, part of the franchise? I mean, from like the moment they start their day till, I guess, like the end of the day. What's that like?
Well, what's great about the opportunity is you can schedule your days any way you want. You work it out with your customer. I typically have an early morning where I have an exercise routine. I do all the hauling myself. As an owner-operator, you don't have to do all the hauling. You can hire, some people to do the hauling for you as long as you're the owner-operator of the franchise. So you don't have to be a super strong person to own this business, to manage it. I happen to like to do the labor. So I typically stay in shape. I go out to a customer's home. They show me the junk they have. We discuss it on the phone prior. I give them an estimate over the phone so they have at least a ballpark of what we're dealing with. So basically, just on experience, you have an idea of what to tell the customers. If you want to go out to the home ahead of time, you can, just to make sure if they say, I've got this super huge refrigerator, it may be tough to get out, you may want to swing by just ahead of time, take a look at it, walk around with the customer, meet them, so you just don't run into any major problems. But typically, I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's not a problem. You show right up with the trailer. You haul the junk out, have good conversation. You've met a new person in the neighborhood. They take your cards. They refer you. You go out. There's days where you have 2 or 3 jobs. There's days where you'll have 6 or 7. At the end, you take the items that you pick up and you section it out on the trailer. And you, depending on what your next jobs are, you can fit more than one load on a truck. You would take those items to the respective facilities. So that's how you basically spend your day: loading, driving, dropping.
It seems like a nice transition too. I mean, when I was studying you guys too, Jerry. I mean, for someone going from the military to this type of franchise, where I think a lot of people might want to stay physically active. You know what I mean? Which I guess you were, in the military. Using your body and things like that instead of sitting behind a desk.
Absolutely. And what I love about it is, I'm spending most of my time in the truck, in my Hummer, driving around, marketing, of course, as I'm going from home to home, listening to sports radio. So there's an advantage of not having to go right into the workforce coming out of the military, stressed out at an office job or a quota at the retail store or mega hours. This is a situation where, if I want to put some extra hours in this week, let me work on Saturday and Sunday and make some extra money. Let me get out there and hand up some more flyers. Let me do this, let me do that. You can basically drive the ship on your sales, with our support. And what our system allows you to do is when we charge the royalty, we only charge for the trailer per month. We don't charge a percentage. So the franchisees will keep the extra money they bring in. I'm only getting a flat royalty monthly. So you can say, wow, I'm not sharing in the millions and millions of potential dollars that are out there. If they're going to do all those numbers, then they can. If they work hard, they keep that extra money. I get a flat fee.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a great model. But what advice would you give to? I guess we call them. You've probably heard the term before, like veterpreneurs. Looking to buy a franchise, Jerry. When I was at the show in New York at the Jacob Javits Center, there was a lot of talk, about the veterans going into franchising, which is fantastic. What advice would you give to them as far as their quest for buying a franchise? Because there's so much out there today. When I took my wife, this was the first time she went to a franchise show. She was overwhelmed. She couldn't believe how many concepts and how many people were there. And she says, how do you choose? So what would you say to them in their quest to buy a franchise?
I'd say the best way to choose it, you have to picture yourself doing this every day.
Yeah.
Do I want to wake up every day and make a pizza? Do I want to wake up every day and cut grass? This is your life. I mean, I think we forget, we need to spend the majority of our lives doing what we do for a living.
Right.
So, if you have an opportunity to invest in a franchise, you want to do what you love to do, number one. Number two, try to minimize your risk on the amount you're investing. You try to structure it where if it doesn't work out for you, you're not losing everything. Tying yourself into long-term leases and real estate and land, and when you get into those type of franchises, the concern is your business could be dictated by the economy. That's why I picked this, because the only thing you're really locking yourself into is a franchise fee. When you buy the purchase of the Hummer and the trailer and the equipment, you own those things. And if it doesn't work out, you can sell them off. So the only risk with our company is you pay the franchise fee,
right?
And you're not buying into hundreds of thousands of dollars of moon bounces or fitness equipment. It's a truck that can be used. It's a trailer that someone will buy, and you're not going to take too much of a risk. I think those are the two really important things. Do what you love, and try not to bet the house on it.
Yeah, I think that's well said. So what are your plans for the future then? I mean, if you can look like 5 years down the road, Jerry, I mean, where do you guys see yourselves?
In 5 years, I would love to see a representative of JDog Junk Removal, number one, in every state.
In every state.
Multiples in some of the bigger states, obviously.
Right.
Because the amount of junk removal services that are needed throughout the country and the amount of veterans that are going to be out there looking to work or go back to school, start a business, we could put 300 to 500 of these up throughout the country and probably still have room for growth.
Absolutely.
So, again, once people hear about what we're doing, and we get some of the franchisees up and running, they can see how successful they can be. I believe they can go up at a high rate, and we're able to handle that. We're going to hire veterans to help us manage the franchise concept. And we're hoping that the veterans that are on board are also hiring fellow veterans to work and run the trucks for them. So we're really trying to build just this large group of locations that are just all veteran based, and maybe the country can get behind it, so to speak.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a wonderful thing you guys are doing. When I first read about you, I said, I knew we had to have you on the show, so it was great for me to finally have a chance to speak to you. What's the best way that our listeners can get more information on becoming a franchisee, Jerry? What website should they go to, or what number should they call?
They should go to www.jdogjunkremoval.com.
Okay.
Or call our toll-free number, 877-994-4327.
It's a great website, by the way, too. It's very informative. There's a lot of great information on there, too, as well. I've spent the last week going over it, and it's just, it's full of great information. And I want to thank you also for protecting and serving our country for many years, Jerry, because you know what, if it wasn't for guys like you, we always say that we wouldn't be able to do this show. So thank you so much. It's
my
a
pleasure.
Thanks
for having me
on. To talk to you. It's our pleasure. Thanks, Jerry. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 5 years and almost 300 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today we're actually going to go back to the most very basic elements of franchising. In fact, we're going to go back 5 years ago to our very first show we did with PB Loco, where Don and I get into the defining the word franchise. We use references like the great Dave Thomas. So I think you'll enjoy this edition.
You know, the criteria they filled out, what they'd be comfortable in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think probably another good place to start, Don, is to, define the word franchise, because a lot of times when I ask my business students for the definition of a franchise, their response is typically the same. They'll say to me McDonald's or Subway or Quiznos. And yesterday before the show, I looked up the word franchise in the Oxford Dictionary, and it defines a franchise as follows. It says, an authorization granted by a company to sell its goods or services in a particular way. And, that's a good definition, but it doesn't really help an aspiring entrepreneur understand what franchising really is. And I know you had a good definition we were speaking about from the book Franchising for Dummies, which I think is written by the great Dave Thomas, who's gone on to bigger and better things.
Right.
But I don't know if you have that.
CEO of Wendy's. Yeah, I do have that. It's a book written by him and Michael Seid of Michael H. Seid and Associates. I thought it was a really great definition. It's a little lengthy, but I think it really sums it up. The definition of what is a franchise.
Right.
And it basically says franchising is a system for expanding a business and distributing goods and services. And an opportunity to operate a business under a recognized brand name.
Good.
For example, Wendy's doesn't franchise hamburgers.
Right.
And Midas, the muffler franchise, they don't franchise car mufflers.
Right.
They franchise business systems that deliver hamburgers and mufflers to customers with consistency of the products and services and also the customer experience. It says a franchise occurs when a business, which is called the franchisor. The franchise corporate office is called the franchisor.
Okay.
They license its trade name, which is the brand, such as Wendy's or Midas, and its operating methods, which is a system or their system of doing business, to a person or group. The person investing in the franchise is called the franchisee.
Okay.
So I think that's important to bring out some of these terms because,
absolutely,
the franchisee is going to be the owner of the franchise. The franchisor is the Wendy's or the Midas.
Right.
The franchisee, by buying into the franchise system, they agree to operate according to the terms of the contract. That's called the franchise agreement.
Okay.
The franchisor provides the franchisee with support and in some cases exercises some control over the way the franchisee operates under the brand.
Okay.
So that's what we mean before about the pros and cons. You're in business for yourself. You have a much higher chance of success, but you're under the...
But you're not by yourself, as you say.
Right.
Franchising is, being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. One of the words that you said in that definition, Don, which, by the way, I think is probably the best definition I've seen, since being involved in franchising. The most important word is system. And what do we mean by system is kind of like a method of doing things so you get the same result every single time. And the analogy that I typically give, Don, is that, the franchisor is the teacher and the franchisee is the student. And it's very important that the student, who's the franchisee, trust as well as listen to the teacher, or who in this case is the franchisor. And they also must be willing to totally follow the system and not try to reinvent the wheel. Otherwise,
it's already a proven system and
absolutely.
concept. That's why they're buying into it, paying a franchise fee, paying royalties. It's already a successful, proven system. That's why they're investing in a franchise, much lower failure rate.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. The keyword system is very important here because someone doesn't have to go into and set up all this marketing and all these different things involved with starting up a business on their own. It's already been done. It's already done for you. You just have to follow the system, and if you do that, you're going to be successful in most cases.
Absolutely, and I think that's what can make it difficult for some entrepreneurs, Don, is because, some people are so entrepreneurial that they don't have the ability to follow a system. It's kind of like the example I give is, you buy a McDonald's franchise and you say, you know what, I think that this cheeseburger is going to taste better with 4 pickles and a little more mustard, and you just start trying to reinvent all these different things. It's not necessary with franchising. You have to be willing to totally follow that system. Otherwise, it's not for you, and that's why franchising isn't for everyone, and that's, franchisors certainly don't want somebody coming into their system and trying to reinvent things. You don't have to do that.
Right. It's a good point. I speak to franchisors all the time who necessarily don't want to recruit or find an investor who's had a background in their industry to invest in them because they might want to do things their way if things start off a little slow. They want people coming in fresh who can be trained, learn their system, and do things exactly what's been successful with their other franchise owners. So
I agree. I agree. Another example I give, Don, is I ask, I call it the entrepreneurial scale, where I would ask somebody, I'd say, how entrepreneurial are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being low and 10 being the highest. And if somebody said to me that they're a 9 or a 10, I think I would push that person away from franchising, because again, these are typically people who are just so entrepreneurial that, their mind is always going and they just want to reinvent things over and over. And, so those people should not go into franchising, So it's very interesting points, Yeah,
and just one last part to finish up the definition of what is a franchise. I mentioned it before, but for people not really familiar with the franchise concept, it says for all this service the franchisor will give, it says in exchange the franchisee usually pays the franchise or an initial fee called a franchise fee,
right,
and then a continuing ongoing fee. I mentioned a word before, that's called a royalty. Usually could range in the 2 to 5% range. It includes advertising and everything, but the franchisee will pay a royalty. And that's basically for the use of the trade name and all the operating methods and system that we're talking about. So I think that's a great definition of the word franchise. It really just sums it all up in just a few paragraphs.
Absolutely.
And as the weeks go on, we're going to be using these words a lot.
Absolutely.
Franchisee, franchisor. So that's why we think it's important to kind of just throw these terms out in the first show, just
I agree.
People understand it.
I agree. We have some of those definitions actually posted on our show page for World Talk Radio too, Don. But
so thanks everyone for listening.